My name is Charlie McGrath. I'm the founder of WideAwakeNews.com and a host on the Rinse Radio Network. How far has our country fallen? How big of a hit has freedom taken in the United States of America? What does it take to be a good citizen, or considered to be a good citizen in the U.S.? What does it take to be considered a terrorist inside the United States? The FBI, along with the Department of Homeland Security, has recently issued a document, a warning document, in which they state to have the highest confidence that maybe, probably, potentially, there could be a violent act at the RNC or DNC conventions upcoming. Now, they say most people are going to be peaceful, loving, good citizens. They're going to stay in the free speech zone. They're not going to step outside the line. But the ones that do, the ones that challenge authority, the ones who cause any trouble whatsoever, they're more than likely probably going to be anarchists. Now, the mainstream media, for their culpable part in this, has decided, when reporting on this document / statement of warning, they're going to help out by dragging in the Cleveland Five to show what anarchists are all about in this country. For those of you who don't remember, this was the Cleveland Five brain trust that together could probably barely put in a light bulb, that had this elaborate conspiracy, this elaborate plan to take down a bridge. But fortunately, because of millions of dollars that were spent by the Joint Terrorist Task Force, they were able to thwart this imminent attack and claim yet another victory. So it's real simple. If you want to be deemed a terrorist, step outside the box, step outside the lines, stand up to authority. But in case that isn't enough, the FBI, the DHS have told you what to look out for. Look out for people who are looking for gun training. Anybody getting trained on a gun potentially could be an anarchist / terrorist. And to make sure that we could draw the right conclusion to anybody that would speak out, they also went on to say not only look out for those looking for gun training, those preparing with neo-Nazi groups. So now if you stand up for yourself, if you look for any kind of gun training or potentially own guns, you should fall into the category of neo-Nazi, and you should be worried about as being potential anarchist / terrorist. So this is what it takes to be a bad terrorist citizen of the United States. So what does it take to be a good citizen? What does it take not to have to worry about the heavy boot of tyrannical government coming down on you? Real simple. All you need to do is nothing. You have to do nothing. Sit there and watch Washington, D.C. be flooded with Wall Street cash. Watch a two-party system that claimed to have differences approve things such as the TSA, the NDAA 2012, the Patriot Act, indefinite detention, killing American citizens if they're deemed a belligerent actor. Two parties that have no problem invading other nations and propagating war around the planet. Two-party system that claim to be different, but together run up a $16+ trillion national sovereign debt. A two-party system that claims to have differences that sits back while 23 million Americans plus are unemployed, 47 million on food stamps. A system that allows our financial future to be destroyed with $120+ trillion in unfunded liability. Sit back and do nothing and say nothing when 535 member body of Congress is whittled down to a super Congress of 12. Don't do a dang thing when we become the largest contributor to the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, who has, it seems to be, a desire nothing greater than wiping out sovereignty around the planet. Be okay with bailing out too big to fail institutions such as Citi, who are now working on a plan to figure out how to securitize rental properties. Sit back and do nothing and say nothing and do not act out when your nation goes $1 trillion plus every year further into the hole, $40,000 per second. This is what it takes to be a good citizen. Sit back, enjoy the propaganda, and do not stand up and say anything in behalf of yourself or future generations of this country. Sit back and take it and pretend this is how it's supposed to be in a free country. Stories are attached. That's all I got.